Welcome to AIW Empowers interview series. I'm so happy to welcome our guest today, Caley Rose. Welcome, Caley. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. Let's just jump right in. Can you describe your current job?
So, I am very proud to say that I'm a Billboard-charting singer and songwriter, and I'm also the creator of Music with a Message. Music with a Message is an empowering music assembly that brings confidence tools into schools. So, we teach kids how to raise their own self-confidence through my empowering original music.
Oh, it sounds pretty cool. And obviously we're going to jump into that deeper. But before
Yeah.
that, I want to go back in time.
All
Can
right.
you tell us a little bit about where you started in your career and how it is that you got here?
Yes. So wow, it's a long and winding journey. And I also perform for lots of adults and women. So I mean, I started as a singer when I was just a little kid. But then I always thought it was musical theater. That was my thing. And I went to school in New York City at Columbia University and did some off-Broadway theater while I was there and after. And then I read the book The Secret, and whatever people have to say about that book, it was helpful to me at the time because it clued me into the fact that I don't know how many lives we have, but I know we're in this one right now, and I want to make it the best one I possibly can. And the fact that people are living our dream life, it really, woke me up and made me think about what do I really, really, really want to do if I could truly do anything, because there are people in this life doing it. And then I realized, no, I really love pop music. I love singer-songwriter music more than anything. And they have this exercise where you have to envision your hands in the place that you want them to be. And for me, it was not on a Broadway stage, it was in a recording studio. And so then I started to take action toward getting myself in that environment more and meeting people who were in pop music. And then it was another leap because I kept trying to do that and failing and worrying that music was not for me and worrying I was too old at like 20, which is so sad. But then I went on my honeymoon with my husband in New Zealand, and we jumped off a cliff. It's this thing called a canyon swing, and that was another big leap in my life because right before we took that trip, I had had a conversation with the songwriting school of Los Angeles and considered enrolling in a songwriting class, but I was afraid about the like $600 investment, which nowadays it's like, are you serious? That's nothing compared to what I've invested in my career and my education. And then after taking that leap off the cliff, I came home and took that other leap. And then the third leap in my mind is music with a message, because 2 years ago, I already had all this empowering music for women and all this artist music. But then I started thinking about how I was bullied as a kid, and I wanted to make changes and help kids who had been bullied not feel so alone in that experience. And so I ended up creating music with a message and pairing my empowering music with my story and bringing it into schools. So those are the three ways to get me where I am now.
And I'm sure it was, it came with its obstacles and frustrations, but it sounds kind of fun to have those kinds of ways in your life that each time opened a new vision for you. And we discussed the leap from the cliff in our one of our previous meetings. Can you talk a little bit about how that made you feel and how you felt like that propelled you into the songwriting?
Propelled was the exact word I was just thinking of. You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, because that cliff jump made me contemplate mortality so much. It was another reminder, you have one life. What do you want to do with it? And I also had just read the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. I don't know if I can swear on this podcast. But I didn't think the book was going in that direction, and I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but he gets really real with that reality. And that's how he is able to make the decisions that he makes in his life, constantly contemplating his mortality and contemplating about what mark he wants to leave on the world. So that really made me think about that more. Plus, our plane ride to New Zealand was the most terrifying plane ride I've ever had. It was just like the whole plane would just drop. So that the whole trip, we did so many adrenaline boosting activities, like a speedboat that could go over these rocks that were sticking up a couple inches out of the water, and it could still go over them as long as it was propelled by like 2 inches of water or something insane. It was terrifying. So all of those things really had me contemplating mortality. And that gave me a lot of death anxiety, which is a whole other topic. But a friend of mine a year ago pointed out that my death anxiety and my constant thoughts about, I don't want to die, I want to be here, I want to enjoy my life, also are a blessing because they help me live my life fully every single day. So for me, that was investing in songwriting, in also the fact that I needed to realize that I could take the wheel. Because so often, constantly, I had thought other people were the songwriters and I was just the singer, and I had no business being a songwriter because I hadn't studied it. Well, then I studied it. You can get an education in anything, you know? So I like to say to people, I mean, 6 years ago, I wasn't doing this. I wasn't singing. I wasn't being interviewed on awesome podcasts. I was not living my dream. And once I started taking action toward the thing that I really wanted to do in life, it was like the path rose to meet me. And it became illuminated and clear in front of me, and serendipities happened, and I got these scholarships and met these people. So once you do start taking action steps, I do find that you find support in surprising ways.
I love that. It's like you took yourself out of the passenger seat and put yourself into the driver's seat.
Yes, that has been a big constant throughout my life because I so often trusted other people's expertise more than my own. And then I made music that didn't feel authentic to myself. So I really needed to become a songwriter in order to find what stories I wanted to tell.
And did you feel like once that happened, you felt more at home with yourself?
Yes. I mean, well, at home, when did I finally feel at home with myself? That's why confidence is so interesting to me, because even when I finally started becoming a songwriter, I remember I had this one songwriting session, which my song That Chick was born out of. And when I sat down with my co-writer, Jeff, we had been in songwriting class together before, and he had the impression that I was extremely confident. And at the time, I would not describe myself as confident. Now I'm proud to say, like, yes, I am. I do love myself, and I choose to be the person that I want to be and that I can be proud of every day, which I think is confidence in some ways. But Jeff at the time was like, wow, I really thought you were confident, but based on our conversations, it doesn't sound like it. So we wrote this song, That Chick, which is all about I'm working on becoming the person I want to be, but I'm not there yet. Cause I was like, I don't feel like I can write one of those really confident songs, you know? Yeah, Swagger was not my middle name.
I think that probably stands for most people that
Yeah.
a bit of fake it until you make it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the question was, what was the question? I want to make sure I address it because it's important. How
Oh,
did I?
when you felt at home with yourself, like you were being more true to yourself and
Yeah. I think how did I get here now? You know, and I always look at confidence, and I think confidence is trusting yourself and believing in yourself. And at times my husband might walk by um living in an Airstream trailer, which we could talk about. But confidence is believing in yourself and trusting yourself and being proud of who you are and who you choose to be. So I think that is being at home with yourself. And now that I am aligned with my purpose in life even more, and doing something I love, I feel more at home with myself. Because I didn't feel at home in my body for a long time when I was growing up. So that's definitely changed now that I choose to eat healthier and exercise, and I'm not like beating myself up with exercise. That's a whole other topic. But I'm trying to think like it's definitely a process, you know. It's
Mhm.
yeah, there are little moments that we can point to. But I decided to do a lot of research, and I decided to study confidence because I cared so much about it. And that's what I'm imparting to students in schools, because I feel that self-confidence is the most important thing we can teach kids
Mhm.
and the adults too. I didn't have it a couple years ago. Um, so it's never too late, and we're hopefully always growing and learning.
Oh, definitely. And I love that you talked about the song That Girl and how that came to be. You also just released a song in August.
Yes. Did I say that girl or that chick? I have so many
That chick.
songs. World, woman, girl. I have honest woman. I have that chick. I have who's that girl. Fight Like a Girl. So I get confused. So I'm like, just in case I got that one wrong, it's That Chick. All right.
Gotcha. Can you tell us about the song you released in August, how that came about, what it's like?
Yes. So Fireproof was my song that I released in August, and I wrote that one. See, now I'm finally at the like, I'm confident. I can write confident songs. I was trying to do my own version of Fight Song by Rachel Platten. And so it's like that, but it has a little bit more modern pop production. And I also sing that one in schools. I sing it in a lot of women's empowerment events. We have a lot of fun. And there's now, because I work with kids, I don't do kids music. I do people music that I bring into schools, and I pair it with kids activities. So with Fireproof, we do all these choreographed movements, and I teach them about power poses and how helpful those are to our self-esteem.
That's really fun. And while we're on the topic, can you tell us where people can hear not just that song, but the songs that you have out?
Yes, if anyone's just listening, I'll give you my little rap. Caley, roses in the flower. Caley, roses in the flower. Caley Rose on all streaming platforms, on YouTube, all the places except for TikTok, which is my like best growing platform, and that username is different. It's Caley Rose Music. Caley. So that's me.
Okay, and we'll put those in the show notes so if anyone's looking, we can find it too. So I want to bring you back in the past again, just for a few questions. Can you discuss any mistakes that you feel you've made early in your career?
All the mistakes. All the mistakes. And I think, we talked about being in the driver's seat. I was definitely trusting outside opinions more than I wish I was. A lot of people would tell me to trust myself and to believe in myself and all those things, but I kept constantly looking for the how. Like, how do I do those things? Please tell me how. But looking back, I was definitely ignoring intuition. I didn't think I had an inner voice. I didn't think it spoke to me. I thought that was something other people had and I didn't. But when I look back on certain situations of trusting people that were untrustworthy in my career, there was a little voice, and it was like kind of up here. I'm pointing like up and to the right in my sphere of personal being. And it came in first. And then my fear voice came in and was like, no, 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 but what if this is real? What if he is true? What if he has worked with these people? What if he can help you? And so I pushed that voice aside and let the fear trust that person when maybe they weren't trustworthy. So for a long time, I've been trying to figure out, how can I help young women? I'm not going to become an entertainment attorney. It's not something that interests me. It's not something I'm going to do at this point in life. But, for music, there's not an IMDb pro. You can't look up people and find out their reputation and who they've worked with. So people are just saying, like, you can kind of look up credits on songs, but it's not all out there, even on Spotify, which is the mecca these days. The information isn't out there as much as it would be nice to be. So trusting untrustworthy people was definitely a big mistake that I'd love to protect other young women from. And I think my answer to that is that I'm teaching them how to build their confidence so that they don't feel like they have to rely on a man to give them a career, because for a long time, I think I was just like, somebody else is going to make my career happen. I just have to be discovered, which is a feeling a lot of performers have, and maybe a lot of people have. But you're the one who makes your career and takes the driver's seat. And so the more I took the wheel, the better things became for me.
I'm really happy that you talked about that because as an outsider, someone who's not in that field at all, we get that impression, I would say, from TV, movies, stories from, eons ago. And I get the feeling that the people in power push that narrative so that they can keep that power, right? So that artists don't feel like they have it.
I have never thought of that. That's so interesting.
Hmm.
Oh, I mean, I think of like the classic Mariah Carey. I think she was working at a diner or something and gave someone her demo tape. And sure, it's possible, but like, I just think it nixes all of the incredible work that she did before that. It's her voice and her chutzpah to put herself out there. But I don't know the behind the scenes. We don't know the behind the scenes. We only know what the marketing tells us. The marketing department makes an interesting story and they're really good at it.
Yes, the big machine. Yeah.
Totally.
In the same vein, but a little bit different. Have you had any career setbacks that at first stung, but you later realized were actually an advantage?
Ooh, I mean that one felt, yeah, the one I keep referring to. So I was living in Los Angeles and I don't even know how old at this point, but I met this person and he was claiming to be a music producer and he kind of like auditioned you and made you feel really, really less than, um, really less than, and kind of kept you. It's so hard to describe when someone manipulates you in that way. Kept you small and kind of said, like, don't put yourself out there, don't put anything online because it's so important how you make a first impression. And so using fear tactics to
Mm-hmm.
make you small and stay quiet. And nothing sexual happened and like untoward in that way, but it was a lot of prolonged this is going to be over when I say it is, which was, him saying it was. And I was paying in cash, not getting receipts, not thinking I could like write it off on my taxes. So that kept me kind of stunted for maybe 2 years. I hate to even think of it, but it might have been 2 years. I wasted a lot of money. And he promised at the end he was going to show you to a label, but he kept saying, well, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Sorry, my toddler and husband. But pushing that deadline, and meanwhile making you feel like you couldn't access success in the music industry without him. He was so high and mighty. He knew all these people. He was your only ticket in, and all of these manipulations. And now that I'm outside of it, and I know other people who have worked with him and had the same experience, and we're all kind of in this little text message group, like little abuse victims. That felt like a setback because it felt like it kept me from taking the wheel and taking my own career in my hands. And then right after that, I found songwriting, even though he told me not to be a songwriter and not to worry about being an instrumentalist and like all of these backward views that are just so incorrect. And it was sad. So that felt like a huge setback. But I realized, even though he was saying, don't worry about being a songwriter, that I wanted to develop that skill more. So even though I was being told no, right during the end of that process, I found the Songwriting School of Los Angeles, which changed everything for me in the best of ways. So at least making that huge mistake led me to the right path.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that lesson. I learned not to be afraid of contracts. As a young, eager girl with dreams, I was so scared to put anything in the way and scare people off. Like, oh, if I say the word contract, what if they aren't interested in working with me anymore? And that's just BS, because anyone who's afraid of signing a little piece of paper isn't someone what you want to work with. But at the time, you're so scared and you want opportunity. And I was, and I hope other people, I hope everyone listening to this right now is like, I would never make those mistakes. Great. Be stronger than me, please, learn from my mistakes. But I know growing up as a singer and an actress, you're in that world where you're just constantly told that there's always someone behind you ready to take it. They might be even prettier and skinnier and younger. And so it makes you feel really less than, and you're coming from that position. So needing to finally realize your value. Every single person on this earth is different and unique and special, but it's hard when you've been shown or forced to believe that you're not, because someone's always better behind you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's bad.
Well, it's the attempt to hold back, right? And instilling all these false narratives in your head. And it's hard, especially when you're younger, not to listen to those.
Yeah. And you're afraid and you're impressionable. And I think some mistakes we have to learn from experience, because people can tell us, I had a father figure in my life saying, you shouldn't have to pay someone. If a producer wants to work with you, they should want to work with you, which now that I'm really in the music industry and I know lots of producers, like I know they need to eat. It's a reciprocal relationship. If you want them to give their time and energy, you might have to pay them. But that's also not always the case, because I've worked with amazing producers, some of the most talented, and they know that the song has value. And so they're willing to just work for a percentage. So I would always advise people to like ask around, ask for references. That was another thing I was too afraid to do. Ask for references. Who else have you worked with whose career you've launched? Anybody? Show it. Yeah, show it, you know?
That's some really good advice.
Yeah, ask questions. Never be afraid to ask questions, but it's easy to say it in hindsight, right?
Well, yeah. But that also puts you in a position to now be able to, give that advice and help
Yeah,
direct people a little bit better.
yeah, totally.
When you look back now, what do you think has been your biggest success factor to get you here?
The fact that I don't give up. But I almost did. When music wasn't going well and I met three untrustworthy people in a row, I thought, like, is it a bad energy surrounding me? Did I make a pact with the devil? Like, is it because I did this that this is happening? It was scary. And thank God then it finally worked out because the fear voices are so loud in our minds and they're there telling us, no, this is for other people. This isn't for you, or you're not good enough, or you're not talented enough, or so many different things. And just keep going every single day and knowing that those small actions will pay off. I'm also a big action taker. I love The Secret, like I talked about in the beginning, but I think the thing that goes wrong with some people with The Secret is they think if they make a vision board, it'll just come to them. And that is not the case, right? You have to take action. When I first aligned with manifesting and that mentality, I saw myself in recording studios and I had been told that I sounded like a Disney princess and I wanted to be a Disney princess. So I didn't just wait around for a studio that doesn't know about me to start calling me. I sent out my demo repeatedly to a bunch of different agencies, and that's how I got started in voiceover. So taking action, I think, is the other most important thing. Staying in the game is the first most important thing. And then the third thing I would say is whenever I'm jealous of something, I use that as fuel. Instead of getting down on myself, I see jealousy as showing you what you want. Like if we see a vacation, I might not be interested in, I don't know, Antarctica. I'm really not. But I am interested in Positano, Italy. That's why I went there, but I had to see pictures of it first to know that that was what I wanted. So you could see someone else's awesome pictures or awesome career and get down on yourself, or you can say, great, now I know what I want. Now I know it's possible for other people. So how do I get there? Do I save money? Do I work hard? Do I get an education in certain areas? So when you see those situations saying, why not me? Because imposter syndrome is saying, why you? You can't do that. Saying, why not me?
I love that. And especially your take on jealousy. It's shining a different light on it and actually putting it to work as opposed
Yeah,
to pulling you down.
totally.
Um,
Jealous players, zero interest. I'm not jealous of comedians. Nope. But a singer who's sharing her soul and has a beautiful voice, yes, I am.
mhm.
Yeah.
It's the fuel. That's great.
Yeah.
And you've done a lot over the years, and we were talking before the interview started about now traveling, touring in your new trailer and living in it and doing that kind of life. Can you talk about the kind of sacrifices you've had to make to get to this point? And do you see them as being worth it now?
Yeah, 2 years of sacrifices. I mean, so we in 2021, you're gonna see my toddler in the background. Uncontrollable and it's fine. And I like it. It's real life, right? Everybody, welcome to the podcast. In 2021, my husband and I were on the Oregon coast for the first time ever. And we thought that California was the most beautiful state, but then we saw that part of Oregon and we're just like, this is stunning. We didn't know about it. And what more in the country don't we know about? And so then our wheels started turning. And then it was also like, hey, taking my music on the road. This was even before Music with a Message began. But taking my artist music on the road would be really beneficial because then I can reach new audiences. So wheels kept spinning. And then one of my best friends passed away from COVID. And so that was another reminder that you have one life. I didn't want to wait until we were retired because when we're retired, we might not be able to hike up a mountain. Who knows what happens in our health? And we might not make it that far in life. And I know a lot of us have that mentality of like work hard and then retire and have a good life, but we didn't want to do that. And that was the impetus to do this tour. So then we moved from Los Angeles to Kansas City, where my husband's family lived. And they're all makers, designers, upholsterers. They know electric work. It's incredible. So they helped him with the things that he didn't feel equipped to do on his own. And we thought it would take 3 to 6 months. It took 2 years. And so it was delaying a lot of things for 2 years. Every single time we had free time, it was, well, Carl should work on the Airstream. You know, that guilt and that should was very prevalent in our minds. And so that took away a lot. You know, he didn't go to this Halloween event. He didn't come to this Easter egg hunt. That was really hard. But sometimes he would come to things and we would just both feel guilty. Like, we should be working on the Airstream. But now we're living in it. We definitely considered stopping the renovation many times. We had to check in with each other and just make sure we weren't making decisions from a perspective of sunk cost, because we had already put so much time into it, already put so much energy into it. Does that mean we should just keep going even though we're miserable? No, but we still wanted to have this experience. It was an experience we still wanted. And so we continued. And here we are. We finally took off. It's had its own challenges. We knew that we would be signing up for new challenges that we maybe couldn't prepare for, that we maybe didn't even know what they are. So far, they've included internet not working in a national beautiful park, even though we bought the Starlink and the Wii Boost, and toilet overflowing because we have a compost toilet, very glamorous. But we've gotten to see Charleston, which we've never been to, and Savannah, and now we're in Atlanta, which we've never been to, and this beautiful nature all around us. So there's, there are always going to be challenges to every situation and benefits. So it's like, which costs do you choose? We both are very fortunate to work remotely, and we can apparently handle any challenge we face.
That's fantastic. And I love that you're creating a life experience and also pairing that with touring with your music. It's kind of like you're pairing the best of both.
Yeah. And a friend said to me, she was like, you can still fly in planes, right? Like, you guys don't have to take the Airstream everywhere. And I was like, yeah, you're totally right. Like, I kind of forgot. But it makes it nice that the whole family can come. My daughter is 3, and you can probably see her behind that plant behind my shoulder. So it makes it nice. I feel like my stories are so long. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I speak for myself, but I think I speak for a lot of people. Stories is where, the interesting information is. So I think it's awesome.
I want to give so much to your audience, and I want to give so much value to the listeners. And it reminds me of when I first started speaking in schools, because I wanted to give them every tip and every morsel, and just stop them from ever hurting. But that's impossible. We all have our own journeys and challenges.
It's tough when you want to improve things in a way and you have that passion for it, but you know that you can't fix the world. It's a level of frustration that I relate to. But I think whatever you do is going to improve the world enormously, right? So, and you're doing something fantastic right now. And I'm curious, with what you and your family are doing now and your tour, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
With a Grammy in my bedroom, that is the goal. But 10 years, there will be a couple. But that is my goal. And living in a beach house in Los Angeles, that is my ultimate. And still doing what I'm doing, talking to great people, performing music for great people, and writing new songs that make me feel good about releasing them.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah.
And beyond that,
All right.
I'm gonna yes. Beyond that, if you can look beyond the 5 to 10 years, what are your long-term goals? Career, life, blue sky. What are your goals?
So eventually I want Music with a Message to become a program that can outlive me and replace me. So if I can't be in Philadelphia at 2 p.m. on a Thursday, there's a Music with a Message trained singer and performer who can be, because I think learning through music is so important. Music, I mean, you probably have a song that you've had in your head since you were a child. We all can finish the words a little star. And if I started singing The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, most kids from the 90s could fill in those lyrics, you know? So we all have songs that have lasted in our minds for decades. I want my music to be that for young people and help them feel confidence when they wouldn't otherwise feel confident. And so eventually I want the music to outlive me in that way and to have that music with a message umbrella.
That sounds amazing. And for the audience, can you tell us where you're heading right now on your tour, the areas where you're, future-wise, what you're, which areas you're trying to cover for the next few years?
I want to reach every single student. Oh, Sienna, that is so loud. Sorry, real life. I always love showing it much, and people can see what it's like to be a working mom and a traveling family, and a family that supports each other. Because my husband is amazing. You can wave, Carl. Thank you, babe. But what was your question?
Can you give us an approximation of like in the next few years where people can expect to see you and music with a message in which areas? I'm guessing the US, but if you're planning on expanding.
Yeah, right now we're in Atlanta, Georgia. We don't have any shows here. We're just passing through to get to. I wanted to book shows here, so Atlanta, call me. But we're working on getting. Sorry, 3-year-olds can they have their own mind, and it's like if you don't let her sit behind you in the frame, she might start screaming. You let her sit behind you in the frame. We're on our way to San Francisco because I'm speaking at an event called Build a Better You, which is organized by my friend Paul Casey, and it's going to be groups, a lot of women, which I love female audiences because I have a lot of female empowerment music. And I'm going to be speaking about my story, how I got to where I am, and using my empowering music to also bring the audience up in energy and vibration. And then we go to Indiana, which I've never been to Indiana. And then I get to go back to Boulder, Colorado and perform there. And then we're heading across to New York. So all those places. And I really want to take music with a message internationally because music spans so many different languages. And most people speak English. I'm lucky to, have English music in that regard. But I have to figure out the visa situation. But my tax guy said, book it and we'll figure it out. So hopefully I can book some shows overseas and just figure out how to pay taxes on it with him.
That's great. Someone else can help you with that.
Yeah, I
know. Now you can talk about in this, in the vein of what you're living now or previously. Can you talk a little bit about it, what it's like on a day-to-day basis with your work?
Yes. Every single day is different for better and worse. But I love it. I love variety. I thrive in it apparently, which is why we are traveling across the country with a new view every single day. But it's what I make it. So I love being able to warm up my voice and work on my music every single day. I have a lot of meetings with educators to schedule assemblies in their schools. I have co-writing sessions where I get to write with amazing songwriters. Sienna, would you like to say hi? Okay. Co-writing sessions with other songwriters, which I really love that process because it's so beautiful. I need to journal more. I need to practice piano more. I'm not where I want to be with my routines and my skills, but I love what I do. And then on the best days, I get to perform live music for people. It's not every single day though, so sometimes it's hard when the thing that you love can't happen every day. But as my awesome mentor, Jen Gottlieb says, we all have stages in our pockets. So I can go live on social media and brush up my skills because I like going live on social media because it almost gives the pressure of being live in front of an audience. It's like halfway there. If you're live in the room, the pressure is higher. But if you're live on social media, it's still in front of people and you still, when you make a mistake, you should cover in a graceful way and all those things. So I love the stage in my pocket for that reason. So I do that a lot too. I go live on TikTok every day and on Instagram most days.
That's pretty cool. It's kind of like a dress rehearsal with that kind of, okay.
Totally.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah. I love it.
I'm happy that you mentioned as well that, you're working with other artists. In your experience, and I know that some have been good, some have been bad, how would you describe the culture in your field?
When I found other songwriters, I found like I felt like I had come home
Mm.
because I had tried on different areas of music and I had tried on different industries in finding my way to songwriting. But this one finally felt like, oh my gosh, I found my people, I found my tribe, I can talk with them forever. I can listen to podcasts about songwriting forever and maybe too much, I'll talk people's ear off about it. But I hadn't felt at home in the other industries I was trying in musical theater. I just kind of felt like my personality just doesn't feel home here. I love the people. It just, I don't know, just that little something missing that, little voice inside of you is telling. And then in voiceover, I was very thankful to be working in voiceover. And I thought, okay, I'm using my voice. This is my happiness. I knew I need to use my voice in this world, but it didn't feel fully home. The people that they were watching cartoons in their free time and I was just like, I don't really like cartoons. Is that a problem? It's not, but also it is because you should study cartoons in order to do animation. So didn't fully feel home. And then finding songwriters was like coming home.
That's great. Have you
Yeah.
found that they've had similar experiences than you?
In meaning like the bad experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard similar stories. Everyone always says, oh, the music industry is the wild, wild west. So the wild west, but now at least I have other people that I can navigate it with. And since my like tearing away from that guy, I have found only good people in this industry. I've been so fortunate and I've had way more positive experiences than negative experiences by now.
Oh, that's really good. And
Um,
outside of that one, which you're warning people about, which is great, what kinds of experiences, paid or unpaid, would you recommend that people interested in doing what you do take on when they're
I,
starting?
yeah, a songwriting class. I mean, the Songwriting School of Los Angeles is reputable. The person who leads it, I think, is the greatest human ever. I'm so thankful for him because he's like, my husband went, hey, Rob Seals. He's like, yeah, I know. But I finally found someone who was trustworthy and a good person in the music industry, who then led me to so many other good people in the music industry. So I would say get an education in songwriting and journal, 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 journal. And Pat Pattinson has amazing books on songwriting and rhyming, and he's incredible. And then surrounding yourself with more songwriters is always helpful because it's those little conversations just like over coffee and over lunch that you have that you're like, man, if I hadn't, had a friend in this industry, I wouldn't know about this thing. And now I'm so thankful I do. It's the same thing with being a mom. I'm like, man, if I didn't know about this, I wouldn't have known about this product, which has really helped my child.
That's great. It's a good way to like blob, I guess, a bunch of stuff at the same time, right? You get education, you get networking, you get all this array of positive
Mm-hmm.
things.
Totally.
Hmm. Um, one last one on the negative side, I swear. Um, if your work was suddenly eliminated, there is no more music, what would you feel prepared to do?
Does voiceover count or no?
Sure, yeah.
I was doing and I enjoy it and I'm thankful for it. So it's very close to the world that I wanted to be in, but I'm so thankful for it still to this day. I still work in voiceover all the time. I did something for Ford last week or 2 weeks ago. So voiceover.
That's fun.
Yeah, it is.
And now on the complete opposite side, can you talk a little bit about what you like most about your work? What makes you so happy doing it?
With my music, I love reaching people and having people say, hey, that song, struck a chord in my heart and I needed to hear that, or that song inspired me and I needed to hear Fight Like a Girl today. And when I see kids singing back my lyrics to me, that is the utmost. I didn't even realize that that was a goal in life. And then it happened and it was so beautiful. So through Music with a Message, I'm teaching them the chorus to Brave Ones and I'm teaching them the chorus to Stand Up, and their sweet little voices are singing it with me and it is so beautiful. So and like getting past notes and drawings after those performances, having kids come up to me for autographs, it's not even about me, like it's about them, like the fact that they care that much and that something I said struck a chord. That is what I'm so glad, that's the mission. I just want to help them.
It must be an amazing feeling to see someone singing along with you.
It really, really, really is. Because like your songs all of a sudden have a life
Mhm.
beyond you. And that's the goal. When I started to take myself out of it and focus on who I wanted to help and helping just one person. When I first was on television with my music, I was very scared. Imposter syndrome came in and was very loud. Perfectionism, it's all the same thing, right? It's all fear. Perfectionism came in super loud. And then I zoned in on help one person every day, which is a friend of mine teaches that through her mentoring, which is so incredible, Jen Gottlieb. And zeroing in rather on that really helped me. So it's not about me. It's not about how I sound. It's not about how I look. You know, that's all the packaging, but reaching people with my music is the most important thing.
I love it. Kelly, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And everything you talked about, I think, is going to be extremely valuable for people listening in. But before I let you go, I would love to give you the floor. If you can give advice for anyone who's either wanting to or just starting out in songwriting and in the music industry, what would you like to tell them?
Yeah. So I asked advice of a top Billboard, like he's the best songwriter right now, like on everything, Sam Hollander the other day, and I'm very thankful to know him. I wouldn't say call him a friend, but he knows me and he, sat down with me for 15 minutes to chat. And I said, so what should I be focusing on right now? Because I'm not where I want to be and I want to get there. Do I need a label? Do I not need a label? And he was like, how old are you? And I was like, you're not supposed to ask that. But I'm 37. And he said, okay, you're a millennial. So you think that labels are the key, but we're in this democratized age. So he was like, focus on TikTok, focus on TikTok, focus on TikTok, which is such weird advice. Like, yes, get an education, write all the time, journal, surround yourself with great people, but we're in the TikTok age. So, yeah, let's create interesting, creative content there with our music.
Amazing. Thank you so
Feels
much.
like
Sorry, can you repeat that last part? I got cut off a little bit.
Oh, I said it feels like irresponsible advice, after all the other things, hone your craft, be a great songwriter, be a great person, work hard, all of those things.
Very good advice. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you for bearing with me and my Airstream family.
It looks like fun, actually.
Yeah.